Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one is entitled, "The Sun is No Longer Shining, the Russian Event and Sudden Cold." Now, I started writing about the fact that the sun is no longer shining after I noticed that the sky had gone dark for 3 hours in northern Russia in the middle of the day. And in July 2018, when the region was supposed to have daylight for nearly 24 hours a day. This could not have occurred because clouds of dust obscuring the sun, as no clouds of dust were observed moving along the ground. There was some dust observed on the ground after the event, but it could only have come from above, i.e., it came from space and was thus not Earth dust. The dust must have interrupted the sun and sky simulation over the region. In other words, it malfunctioned due to the dust entering the atmosphere. And for more details, you may look at Article 291 entitled "The Sun Disappears, Day Turns into Night." And you can see some photographs from that event here. You can see that the sky looks red here. The locals said that it had a rich yellow undertone during the event, but here you can clearly see that the sky looks red. Now, the locals reported seeing some dust on the ground after normal lightning came back to the sky, but the dust did not look red or have a rich yellow color, so dust could not have been responsible for the color in the sky. In addition, clouds of dust do not produce a uniform color, as we see here. It looks uniformly red, and here it looks uniformly dark. Dust would be in swirling clouds, thus producing darker and lighter patches that would move or swirl. And we don't even see lighter and darker patches here at all. Earth dust only remains suspended in the air if wind blows it around. With no wind, the dust quickly settles on the ground because it is, of course, heavier than air. Notice that in this photograph, there is blue light coming from the vehicle's headlights. You can see it looks blue here. And the grass in front of this vehicle looks green. So there was no dust, red or otherwise, between the headlights and the camera, causing the absorption of light coming from the headlights, as then both the headlights and the grass would have looked red. So the headlights would have been in some tone of red if there was dust between the camera and the headlights to absorb all the other wavelengths other than red. But yet the top of the vehicle, the roof, looks red. And it looks red because it was being illuminated by a red color coming from above it. So the atmosphere did not look red because the dust in it was absorbing certain light frequencies. This could only have been because an object emitting this red color of light was illuminating the Earth's atmosphere in this region. And we know it couldn't have been the simulators because otherwise we would have normal white light. That's what they emit, visible white light, just like the sun. So there was no large quantity of Earth dust to block out the sun, but the sky went dark, and that could only have been because of sun simulator failure. Thus, the dust that entered the atmosphere must have caused it, since we know that the Planet X system objects bring in with them huge clouds of debris, and that the objects, and thus the dust they bring with them, are low in energy, leading to low gravitational influence, and also to the matter being highly absorbent of energy. Now, Planet X system objects are dead stars, which share their outer layers of material until their cores are exposed, hence the name stellar core, but come in as comets and are thus observed as comets. They are, in other words, comets. And you may look at Article 428 entitled "Planet X Objects or Comets, and very real, they are not holograms." Thus, Planet X or comet dust must have been able to cause the sun simulating devices to malfunction. And you can see one of these objects, one of these stellar cores or comets as they've been known for thousands of years, coming from the system, which I call the Planet X system. And you can see huge amounts of debris around it. And you may look at Article 424 entitled Large Planet X Object and Large Debris Field May Endanger Earth for more details. And here is one of the sun simulating devices which are emitting light in our atmosphere and thus simulating the sun and the blue sky. And so these are artificial devices that have replaced basically what the sun used to do, which is to emit radiation, heat the surface of the earth, the atmosphere, and produce a blue sky. Locals also noticed that the temperature was much colder than normal a few hours before the sky went dark, which suggests that the dust may have made a hole through the layer of reflective aerosols in the upper atmosphere, which creates a greenhouse effect and thus keeps infrared radiation emitted by the earth within the atmosphere. And you may look at Article 223 entitled Chemtrails Increase Greenhouse Effect, indicating a weakening sun. This radiation is thus absorbed by the atmosphere, causing its temperature to increase. The atmosphere cannot absorb visible light, but it can absorb infrared, ultraviolet B, C, and extreme, and X-ray radiation. With more and more Planet X or stellar core dust coming into the atmosphere, as evidenced by the increasing incidence of events when the atmosphere changes from its normal white light illumination to a strange color such as red, which we see here, it is to be expected that more sudden drops in temperature are likely to occur around the world. In regions where it is supposed to be summer, they will most likely turn the simulators on to full power during the day and even use ultraviolet lasers to increase the heating of the atmosphere, so that stellar core dust disrupting the artificial greenhouse layer will not lead to such a dramatic loss of heat, as it will in regions where it is winter and the heating of the atmosphere by the simulators is reduced. And here you see this red atmosphere was seen over Australia on November 21st, 2018. And this, as you can see there's only red light to be reflected off anything. Anything that looks, everything is in different tones of red light. There is no other color to be seen here. So this was an atmosphere being illuminated by red light only. And notice that the tones of this red light is different from what we saw over Russia. It's also brighter. And that may be because the object illuminating the atmosphere at this time was brighter than the object that was illuminating the region in Russia. The stellar core dust entering the atmosphere led to sun and sky simulation failure, which caused the sky to become dark in northern Russia in July of 2018. Now, if the sun had been shining, sun simulator failure could not stop the real sun from illuminating the atmosphere, and we would therefore have been able to see the real sun. The fact that the sun was not seen shows that it is not shining. In addition, if the real sun was shining, there would be no need for any artificial layer of reflective materials in the atmosphere to create the greenhouse effect. Furthermore, comet dust entering the atmosphere would not lead to a sudden drop in temperature, as the sun's radiation would still be heating the atmosphere even as comet or stellar core dust entered it. In fact, this dust has been entering the atmosphere for a long time. Noctilucent clouds, which seem to have first been observed in 1850, are due to stellar core dust entering the atmosphere. And no sudden drops in temperature have been associated with the formation of noctilucent clouds. This is most likely because the sun had not stopped shining until recently, and it is only since it has stopped shining that the artificial system, which has been established to replace it, fails to adequately heat the earth whenever large amounts of stellar core dust moves down through the atmosphere. And here you see a photograph of noctilucent clouds, and these occur in the mesosphere or upper atmosphere at an altitude of 80 kilometers. At least they did in 1850. Nowadays we get luminescent clouds that are basically the same thing occurring at much lower altitudes. And these were supposed to have, the story was that they were made by ice crystals. But ice crystals cannot emit light. Ionization or chemical reaction in which electrons are transferred to different atoms in lower energy levels would be necessary. This is, however, what happens when electrons transfer from Earth matter to stellar core matter. So it takes stellar core matter for materials from the Earth, elements, atoms, water molecules to emit light. And you may look at Article 272 entitled Loctig-Lucent Clouds and Planet X Debris in the Earth's Atmosphere. So in conclusion, the event in Russia in July of 2018, when the sky went dark for 3 hours, seems to have been caused by a sun simulation failure due to stellar core Planet X or comet dust entering the atmosphere. The atmosphere dropping, the temperature dropping in the atmosphere hours before the event indicates that the stellar core dust created a hole through the artificial greenhouse layer, thus allowing radiation that would have heated the atmosphere to escape out into space. It indicated that the real sun was not shining, nor was its radiation heating the atmosphere. And these are the references. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.